Hello everybody, this is Will from You Know Nothing. Thank you so much for clicking on this one. Welcome back to another Game of Thrones video. If you love Game of Thrones as much as I do, why not check out some of my other videos and consider subscribing because it would mean a lot to me. So in this video we're going to be talking about why Daenerys Targaryen could actually be the best and final villain of the whole show. So the living have now defeated the Night King and the dead, who were the main villains, the biggest threat really for the whole 7-8 seasons the whole show has ever seen. And he's gone. There are some fan theories that the Night King will come back in some way, but for this video and for logic, I guess, let's just assume that that's not going to happen. But the next threat that they have to face is Cersei. In my eyes, Cersei's always been a really great character, manipulating and playing the Game of Thrones in the best way possible. She has gone a bit crazy a few times and done a lot of things that you wouldn't expect, such as blown up the crypt and all that kind of stuff. But she is the queen. She has been the queen for quite a while now. And Daenerys and Jon will have to get past her if they want the Iron Throne. And that's the question. Do they want the Iron Throne? We know that Jon Snow didn't want to be Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He didn't want to be King in the North. He almost definitely doesn't want to be Aegon Targaryen. He wants to be Jon Snow. He doesn't want the throne. But Daenerys, on the other hand, the throne is all she has ever known. Ever since she was born, she was told that she's the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. That is her whole purpose in life. And in the first episode, where she learns Jon's true heritage, she knows that Jon has a greater claim to the throne than her. Her whole life, basically, has just been sucked away from her. I don't think she's the kind of character to just let that slide and pretend to be happy. So assuming, of course, that they do defeat Cersei, and then in the Dream of Spring, like epilogue of Game of Thrones right at the end, they decide what happens to the Iron Throne and who is the ultimate leader. So there have been loads of character arcs and redemption arcs from characters going from doing something really bad to realising their mistakes, kind of figuring out their character and becoming good at the end, with Jaime Lannister being the best example for that, really. We also have Theon, who completed his redemption arc in the last episode in The Long Night. But what if Daenerys Targaryen's character arc is the opposite way round? So the first few seasons, we see her as a good character. She mainly has good intentions. She seems pretty innocent. She just wants the throne, what is rightfully hers. She becomes a queen. She frees loads of people. Almost everything she does at first is with good intentions. And then the further along we go in the show, a lot of the decisions that she makes are based on personal gain. In the first episode of Season 8, Samwell Tarly points out the stark differences between Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen, with the main point it being his father and his brother when they got roasted alive by Daenerys Targaryen when they didn't bend the knee to her. Sam's basically saying that Jon would never do such a thing, and I don't think he would, because he does what he thinks is right and just like Ned Stark. Whereas Daenerys struggles to balance her desire to do good with her thirst for power. Would Daenerys have sacrificed Randall and Dickon Tarly in the first season? I don't think she would have done. It looks like she's not really going to stop and let anyone get in the way of her taking the Iron Throne. And that's becoming even more evident the further along we go in the show. Now obviously, after she was told of Jon's true heritage, she wasn't impressed at all. To say the least. But all of her thoughts and the fight for the Iron Throne kind of got put on a back burner, obviously because they had the Battle of Winterfell. They had to take out the dead first. Now they have to take out Cersei, so I still don't think they'll talk about it that much. There might be a few passing comments in episode 4 and 5, but after that is all done, we will find the true intentions of Daenerys Targaryen and possibly find her character arc is the opposite of a redemption arc. I don't even know what the name for that is. In the first episode, we see Sir Davos kind of possibly foreshadowing that the two could get married and rule together, but I think it'd be the opposite of that. I think that won't happen at all. Sansa even kind of throws the idea of Dany loving Jon back in her face. Does she actually love Jon? I think she might feel like she actually does, but then when it comes to Jon or the Iron Throne, I think the Iron Throne would always win. Turning Jon from a lover to almost a rival, I guess. In the early seasons, Daenerys was repeatedly told and assured that the common people of Westeros were waiting for her, a Targaryen, to return and take the throne, and they would cheer and be happy that she would return. But when she actually gets back there, that's far from the truth. But they seem to like Jon, and I think that she'll get very jealous of the small folk and everyone loving Jon a lot more than her. As it stands now, Jon and Daenerys are the main heroes of the show, but we do know that there's a third big twist coming up, and there's a good chance that this Daenerys twist could be that. Game of Thrones isn't a Disney movie where everyone lives happily ever after. We know there's going to be a bittersweet ending, so having Daenerys turn to a villain could fit perfectly into that. It would also be a brilliant villain origin story, one of the greatest villains in a story ever, because no one would expect it. It would also fit in with a lot of the lore and history about the Targaryens, where they have a tendency to madness and dictatorship. Not all of them, but a lot of them do, and obviously that runs through their blood, and Daenerys has that blood. She's definitely shifted more towards the Mad Queen, quote unquote, as the story has evolved. And Game of Thrones also likes to have a lot of symmetry and everything coming around in full circle, so the Mad King's events with Robert's rebellion kind of started off the whole story of Game of Thrones, and if it ends with a Mad Queen, that'd be a nice little cyclical nature. Whatever happens in the final chapters of Game of Thrones, I'm very, very excited to experience it and find out for myself. I can't wait. If you can't either, hit the like button down below. This is just a theory, like this could not happen at all, or something could happen slightly to do with this, or this could be exactly what happens. I don't know. Come back in a few weeks and you will know. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on my next one. Adios.